Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, and you're listening to Alex's News. The weather in Riverside is going to be scorching today, with a high of 100.3 degrees and a low of 62.4. Be sure to stay cool and hydrated. Coming up on Alex's News, we'll explore the potential economic impact of a dockworkers strike and how it could affect businesses across the country. We'll also analyze the vice presidential debate and its possible influence on the final stretch of the campaign. Finally, we'll delve into concerns about YouTube's algorithms and their potential role in the youth mental health crisis. Stay tuned for these stories and more. We begin our top stories today with a major development that could impact consumers across the nation. A large-scale dockworkers strike has begun, affecting ports along the entire eastern seaboard. For more on this, we're joined by our reporter Ethan. Ethan, can you give us an overview of what's happening?
Certainly, Grace. As of today, October 1st, 2024, we're seeing the first major dockworkers strike in nearly 5 decades. Approximately 45,000 to 50,000 members of the International Longshoremen's Association, or ILA, have walked off the job at 36 ports, stretching from Maine all the way down to Texas.
That's a significant number of workers. What's at the heart of this strike, Ethan?
The main issues here are wages and automation, Grace. The ILA is demanding a substantial 77% pay raise over 6 years, citing the need to compensate for inflation and previous small raises. They're also seeking protections against potential job losses due to increased automation at the ports.
Those seem like hefty demands. How has the other side responded?
The U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents the ports, has put forward their own offer. They've proposed a 50% raise over 6 years, along with increased employer contributions to retirement plans and improved healthcare options. However, the union has rejected this offer, deeming it insufficient.
I can see why this situation is tense. What kind of impact could this strike have on the economy, Ethan?
The potential impact is quite significant, Grace. According to estimates from J.P. Morgan, a strike shutting down East and Gulf Coast ports could cost the U.S. economy between $3.8 billion to $4.5 billion per day. To put that into perspective, these ports handle about 51% of total U.S. imports in terms of container volume and nearly 64% in terms of cargo weight.
Those are staggering numbers. What kinds of goods might we see affected by this strike?
We're looking at a wide range of products, Grace. Everything from perishables like bananas, 75% of which come through these ports, to European beer and wine, furniture, clothing, and household goods. European auto imports could also be affected, as well as parts needed for U.S. factories. If the strike extends beyond a few weeks, we could start seeing shortages and higher prices on store shelves.
This timing seems particularly concerning, Ethan. We're approaching the holiday shopping season, aren't we?
Absolutely, Grace. The timing couldn't be more critical. Retailers and manufacturers have tried to prepare by stocking up in advance and diverting some cargo to West Coast ports. However, these measures may not be enough if the strike drags on. It's worth noting that this is also happening just before the presidential election, adding another layer of complexity to the situation.
Speaking of which, has there been any response from the White House on this matter?
Yes, there has. President Joe Biden has stated that he doesn't plan to intervene using the Taft-Hartley Act, which could force an 80-day cooling-off period. However, the White House is working to facilitate negotiations and is closely monitoring potential supply chain impacts.
It sounds like we could be in for a prolonged standoff. What's the mood like among the union members?
The union seems prepared for a long fight, Grace. ILA President Harold Daggett has emphasized that they're ready to stay on strike for as long as necessary to achieve their demands. This could mean we're in for a protracted dispute, with far-reaching consequences for the U.S. economy and consumers.
Thank you, Ethan, for that comprehensive report. We'll certainly be keeping a close eye on this developing situation.
You're welcome, Grace. We'll continue to monitor the situation and bring updates as they become available.
Thanks again, Ethan. Now, moving on to our second story of the day. We turn now to our top political story of the day. The vice presidential debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance is set to take place tonight, and it's shaping up to be a crucial event in this election cycle. For more on this, we're joined by our political correspondent, Chloe. Chloe, can you give us the details on tonight's debate?
Certainly, Grace. The debate between Democratic candidate Tim Walz and Republican candidate J.D. Vance is scheduled for tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time in New York City. This 90-minute debate, hosted by CBS News, is particularly significant as it may be the last debate before Election Day, given that former President Donald Trump has not agreed to another debate with Vice President Kamala Harris.
That's interesting, Chloe. Can you tell us more about the format and rules for tonight's debate?
Of course. According to CBS News, the debate will be moderated by CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan. There will be no live audience, and the debate will include 2 4-minute commercial breaks. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, 2 minutes for responses, and 1 minute for rebuttals. Interestingly, microphones will remain active even when it's not a candidate's turn to speak, though CBS reserves the right to mute them if necessary.
That's quite a structured format. Now, can you give us a brief overview of the candidates participating in tonight's debate?
Certainly. On the Democratic side, we have Tim Walz, the 60-year-old Minnesota governor. He's a U.S. military veteran and former teacher who has implemented various social policies in Minnesota. According to recent polling, he's viewed positively by 40% of voters and negatively by 33%. On the Republican side, we have J.D. Vance, the 40-year-old U.S. Senator from Ohio. He's known for his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, and strong support for Donald Trump's agenda. Vance is viewed positively by 32% of voters and negatively by 45%.
Those are some interesting approval ratings. What are the key issues we can expect to see discussed tonight?
Based on reporting from various sources, the key issues likely to be discussed include immigration, the economy, and access to abortion. Walz is expected to emphasize his support for abortion rights and criticize Vance's stance. On the other hand, Vance may focus on boosting American manufacturing and criticizing the Biden-Harris administration over inflation. Both candidates are likely to highlight their Middle America backgrounds to connect with voters.
It sounds like it could get heated. Are there any particular strategies we might see from the candidates?
Yes, Grace. According to political analysts, Walz may confront Vance on controversial statements and perceived racism in his immigration stance. Vance, on the other hand, is prepared to defend himself using his family, including his biracial children, as an example. It's worth noting that while vice presidential debates generally have minimal direct impact on election outcomes, this debate could be more influential due to the close nature of the race and the possibility of it being the final televised debate of the election season.
That's a great point, Chloe. For our viewers who want to watch, how can they tune in?
The debate will be broadcast on CBS and live-streamed on CBS's platforms as well as other U.S. media outlets. It's an opportunity for viewers to see these candidates reach a wide audience and shape public perceptions of their capabilities and their ticket's overall message.
Thank you, Chloe, for that comprehensive overview of tonight's vice presidential debate. We'll certainly be watching with great interest.
You're welcome, Grace. It's sure to be an eventful night in American politics.
Indeed it is. Thanks again, Chloe. Here are some other headlines. Senior aide to New York City Mayor Eric Adams has resigned amid ongoing investigations. Timothy Pearson, who served as a senior advisor for public safety, stepped down effective this Friday. His departure comes as federal agents seized his cell phone and documents as part of a corruption probe into Adams' inner circle. A Russian fighter jet had a dangerous close encounter with a US F-16 near Alaska on October 1st. Video shows the Russian Su-35 flying within feet of the American aircraft in international airspace. U.S. officials called the maneuver unsafe and unprofessional. This incident is part of increased Russian military activity in the region. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange says he pleaded guilty to journalism to secure his release from prison. Assange made his first public appearance since being freed in June, addressing a European Parliamentary Committee. He stated he's not free because the system worked, but because he admitted guilt for actions he considers journalism. Suspected Houthi rebel attacks targeted merchant ships in the Red Sea on October 1st. Multiple vessels reported missile launches and drone strikes about 70 miles off Yemen's coast. One ship was hit by an explosive-laden drone boat, damaging its hull. The attacks are part of ongoing Houthi aggression linked to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Former President Jimmy Carter celebrates his 100th birthday today, becoming the first U.S. president to reach that milestone. Despite health challenges, Carter remains engaged at home in Plains, Georgia. Various tributes and events are planned to honor his legacy of humanitarian work and public service. We turn now to a developing story out of Arkansas, where the state has taken legal action against one of the world's largest video-sharing platforms. For more on this, we're joined by our tech correspondent, Ethan. Ethan, what can you tell us about this lawsuit?
Well, Grace, in a bold move, Arkansas has filed a lawsuit against YouTube and its parent company, Alphabet. The suit, filed by Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin's office in state court yesterday, alleges that YouTube is deliberately addictive and contributing to a mental health crisis among young people in the state.
That's quite a serious accusation, Ethan. What specific claims are being made in this lawsuit?
The lawsuit makes several key allegations, Grace. Firstly, it claims that YouTube's algorithms are designed to be addictive, amplifying harmful material to drive youth engagement and, consequently, advertising revenue. Secondly, the state argues that these practices have led to an increase in mental health problems among young people. The lawsuit also accuses YouTube of steering youth towards harmful adult content and facilitating the spread of child sexual abuse material.
Those are certainly concerning allegations. Has YouTube or Alphabet responded to these claims?
Yes, they have. Google, which is owned by Alphabet, has denied the allegations. In a statement, they emphasized that providing a safer and healthier experience for young people is core to their work. They also highlighted their collaboration with experts to create age-appropriate experiences and robust parental controls.
I see. Ethan, is Arkansas seeking any specific damages in this lawsuit?
Interestingly, Grace, the lawsuit doesn't seek specific monetary damages. Instead, it's requesting that YouTube be ordered to fund prevention, education, and treatment programs for excessive and problematic social media use. This approach seems to focus more on addressing the root of the problem rather than just seeking financial compensation.
That's an interesting approach. Is this lawsuit part of a broader trend?
Absolutely, Grace. This legal action is part of a wider effort by state and federal lawmakers to address the impact of social media on younger users. In fact, Arkansas has previously filed similar lawsuits against TikTok and Meta, the parent company of Facebook, alleging misleading practices regarding child safety and data protection.
It seems like there's a growing concern about the impact of social media on youth mental health. Has there been any official stance on this from health authorities?
Yes, there has. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy has called for warning labels on social media platforms, similar to those we see on cigarette boxes. This highlights the growing concern about the impact of social media on youth mental health at the highest levels of public health administration.
Has YouTube taken any steps to address these concerns?
They have, Grace. YouTube has implemented several measures, including enhanced take-a-break and bedtime reminders, limiting repeated recommendations of potentially harmful topics, updated crisis resource panels, and a partnership with the World Health Organization to establish mental health quality principles. They've also provided educational resources for responsible content creation.
But it seems these measures haven't been enough to prevent this lawsuit. Why is that, Ethan?
Well, Grace, while these measures are a step in the right direction, their effectiveness is still being evaluated. The core issue seems to be the addictive nature of YouTube's algorithms. Evidence suggests that these algorithms, like those of other social media platforms, are designed to maximize user engagement through techniques that can lead to addictive behavior, such as personalized content recommendations and infinite scrolling.
This certainly raises important questions about the responsibility of social media platforms in protecting young users' mental health. Thank you for breaking this down for us, Ethan. We'll be sure to keep an eye on how this lawsuit develops.
You're welcome, Grace. It's definitely a story worth following closely.
Indeed it is. Thanks again, Ethan. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexandra King with Claude Sonnet 3.5, the Perplexity API, and the Google Cloud Text-to-Speech API. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.